how much of a difference could it make to people if they were to kind of introduce those kind of small lifestyle changes?
Diet and exercise are beneficial for, not just for bowel cancer, for all cancers and for many other conditions. So I would hope and expect that most people are aware that a good diet, a balanced diet and regular exercise will have health benefits. So I think that's a sort of fundamental lesson for all of us, actually. I would include myself. We can all do more. I think the point about red meat is interesting, and there is some significant evidence on the risk associated with high consumption of red meat and meat products and processed meat products. So if you're having an awful lot of that in your diet, that is something to consider. But as Deborah says, it's not a cause and effect. It's not you eat a steak and you'll get bowel cancer at all. There are other factors at work, and there is particularly Lynch syndrome, which is a type of bowel cancer. It has a genetic dimension to it, and so that is at play as well. So there are still out of the blue diagnoses that can happen.
Well, I think that's where my biggest shock came, really, because I consider myself to have been quite fit, quite health conscious. There was no bowel cancer in the family at all. I've never drunk excessively, I've never smoked. I've been conscious of having my fruit and veg, 5 of those, different colours every day. And here I am, 5 years down the line, yes, I've had bowel cancer twice. So it was a massive shock, because I thought I was doing everything right. And so I'm one of those people to sort of say, look, it doesn't just hit people who are obese, who smoke, who drink, it can hit anybody. But I would like to say, because I've always been quite fit, I was a police officer for 30 years, so I needed to be fit for that. I swam during pregnancy. I started running when I was 39 because I didn't want to be fat and 40. And I ran marathons before all this, but my point of sort of like going over that is the fact that I was fit, I was healthy, I was diagnosed with cancer, but I got over it very, very quickly and very, very well. The way my body sort of like managed to mend after it all, and I ran a marathon 16 weeks after finishing chemotherapy, after having major surgery to have my bottom sewn up and having all of my colon removed. I ran a 10k sort of within 3 months, and another marathon in 10 months after that. Amazing. After major surgery. But that happened, I think, because I was fit beforehand.
Yeah.
And that, exactly what you were saying there, Judith, diet and exercise is absolutely key to everything, and it also helps me mentally as well. Yeah. My running is a bit of a stress buster, so I definitely think the green prescription should be given out to everybody, and get out there, get walking, get running, whatever you can to get a little bit more exercise in, and that's big for everything, not just bowel cancer but life
in general.
Yeah.
What else is there that we should be aware of in terms of preventative factors?
I think the only thing I would add is about the genetic risk. So this is a very small proportion of bowel cancer diagnoses, but if you know, this is another reason to talk about it in your family, if you know that you've got perhaps 2 relatives that have had a bowel cancer diagnosis, or there is a long history of cancer in your family, then you should look into the genetic risk, because that could help you get an early diagnosis, or make sure that you're monitored for the risk that might be in your family.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I was diagnosed with bowel cancer. My dad, then in his mid-80s, was diagnosed with bowel cancer, and he's got a colostomy, so he has a bag as well. But that was like after me, so because there was the 2 of us, we were then tested for that Lynch syndrome, which it's not, there's no genetic mistakes linked to that at all, which means that I've got 2 sons. So if there had been a genetic mistake, they would have asked for my 2 sons to start getting screened from age 25. Likewise, I've got 2 brothers who are now in their 60s, so they're getting through the screening programme anyway. But because there isn't any genetic link at the moment that they've found, My sons have been advised to start getting checked out from the age of 40, so getting regular colonoscopies from that age. But again, I mean, it makes sense, as you say, if there's a history of it, get it checked out.
Yeah.
And again, be aware of your normality. Just go back to that, interestingly enough, you kind of get out of your routine of what normality is. And I can remember saying, I'm not too sure, probably after I'd been diagnosed with cancer, that my stools were always loose, and I couldn't remember, it was such a long time ago since I'd had a sausage-shaped poo. But my norm had been to not have sausage-shaped poos, so I didn't think anything of it, but maybe I should have done. So it is really important to be aware all the time of what is normal for you, not just in your toilet habits, but like you say, for everything. For your whole of your body, know what's right for you. The feeling tiredness, as you said before, Stephanie, be aware of what's normal for you. If you've done like a 17-mile run, you're going to feel tired. But if you haven't, maybe you need to monitor that. And if people are much more aware of their own bodies, I think that would be a key to people getting diagnosed with all sorts of cancers and other illnesses, if they're just aware of what's going on.
That's the end of this part of the discussion. If you want more information, look out for the other episodes in this series and visit our website at bmihealthcare.co.uk. Look out for the Be Bowel Cancer Aware campaign page, where you can download our awareness guide.